Discover how to call the damn leads in today's session with Drewbie Wilson. He's a meme lord at Call the Damn Leads. From tech support in a software startup to C-suite of a multimillion-dollar consulting company, he understands what it means to start at the bottom and work his way to the top. Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Now, the first question is, give us an example of what it means to call the damn leads. What's this program about?
Yeah, Lily, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Honestly, call the damn leads is just my mantra for doing the work, because a lot of the times the things that we want in life are right on the other side of the work that we don't want to do to get them. And calling the damn leads, funny enough, for a lot of sales professionals I meet, is the thing that they don't really want to do, even though they know it's the thing that will get them the result they want, which is making more money so they can go live life the way they want to live it.
Thank you. Tell us more about some of your achievements and successes, and how did you come to the realization that calling the damn leads is the key to an entrepreneur's success, including yours?
Well, long story short, I've written 3 books. I have a 4th on the way. So if you want the whole story, you can go check out all my books on Amazon or on the store. But I grew up in the streets selling dope. Didn't want to end up dead or in prison. As I got older, I met a beautiful young lady. We got married, had a son. Fast money don't last. And we all hear the stories of the kids who stayed in the streets too long and didn't make it out. And so I got into more legitimate sales, started selling insurance at one point, got pretty good at it, was one of the top producers in my market, but quickly realized that even if I was calling the damn leads, I still needed more of those leads to call so that I could sell more stuff and make more money. And so I started learning marketing. And as I learned marketing, some folks reached out and hired me and said, hey, you're getting all these leads for you. Can you get us the leads and we'll pay you for it? And Lily, that was one of those first experiences in life where I went, I'm doing the wrong thing, because I made more on a weekend setting up these Facebook ad campaigns to get leads for other people than I was making sitting there smiling and dialing, calling my own damn leads. So I started a marketing company on the side and started getting leads for people and thought, this is great. I'm making money in my main business. I got a side business that's making money. But the truth is, I was really great at getting leads for people, but they didn't want to pick up the phone and call the damn leads. And so I was in this constant churn of client comes in, we get them the result, they don't want to do the work, they get mad, they leave. So just constantly chasing. And I remember one in particular, I had a very hard conversation with and said, listen, man, if you would just call the damn leads, this wouldn't be a problem. We wouldn't be having this conversation. And I turned to my friend at the time and said, hey, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt someday, and I'm going to sell it to all the other marketers and business owners out there, because they know as well as I do that if their team would just call these damn leads, everybody would get paid. And so that's how Call the Damn Leads came to be. It was just something that was a joke that turned into, I really believe in this mission and this movement, and I'm going to take it out to the world and use it to make a difference.
Thank you. So tell us more about your program. Is it that you currently run Facebook ads and other marketing where you get the leads, but then the entrepreneurs still have to do the work of calling the leads? Or is it that you now also have a calling, like a call center company that helps them solve that issue as well?
So what we do specifically is we help you build the systems and processes to sell more of the leads. If you don't have the leads, we help you generate more of those leads and build that whole system so that it works holistically. Because you can be really great at sales, but if you don't have any leads, it doesn't do you any good. But if you have a lot of leads and you're not any good at sales, that doesn't do you any good either. So we bring a holistic approach of teaching you how to do the sales, how to generate the leads, and then truthfully, the real secret on the back end is how to have the mindset to stay consistent as you keep working through this process, because sales is very much a rejection heavy industry. And so you have to be able to get up every day and have the confidence and the willingness to go and generate the leads, then have a conversation by calling them, and then doing what you do best, which is serving for your product or service.
Thank you. So you don't actually have like a done for you calling service for them?
No, not anymore. We did the done for you, but unfortunately, even if I did 98% of the work, you still have to do the other 2%, and I couldn't rely on everybody else to do that other 2%. So now we teach the action takers to go and do it themselves because they're the ones that get the best results.
Okay, thank you. So tell us, what's the biggest mistake businesses make when it comes to calling the damn leads?
The biggest mistake is they don't call the damn leads. But truthfully, if they are calling them, then they're not following up consistently, because you can't just call one time. The statistic at last check was it takes anywhere from 8 to 12 touch points in order to build a relationship with someone. And so what a lot of businesses do is they call once, maybe twice, and then they throw that lead in the trash instead of nurturing a real relationship, which takes time, which takes consistency.
Thank you. So tell us more about how to achieve sales in the business so that entrepreneurs can attract, the right clients and get more of what they want.
I think the most important part to get more sales is to sell a product or a service that you truly are passionate about. I think what happens for a lot of people is they go into selling a product or a service thinking, oh, I'm going to make all of this money. But the truth is, if you're just chasing money, it runs away, kind of like a cat. If you've ever chased a cat, it runs away from you. But if you just sit down and you're cool, calm, collected, and you just focus on doing what you do best, where you're just happy and passionate, a cat will hop up in your lap, it'll purr, it'll beg for attention. Money is kind of the same way. So if you want to make more sales, just focus on doing what you do best and helping people, and that will attract the right individual into your life.
Thank you. What's the best process to follow to make sure that you are selling and you are going through the process of, let's say, 8 to 20 touch points without looking salesy and feeling pushy, and also without kind of like feeling guilty about contacting them so many times?
That's such a great question, Lily. Thank you for asking, because that is something I find a lot of professionals, they tiptoe that line where they want to do their job, they want to follow up, they want to help people, but we don't want to feel pushy or spammy or like we're icky, that icky sales persona that exists. I mean, there's a reason people make fun of sales professionals. It's because they can be a little bit icky sometimes. So what I often work with the individuals on is remembering that if someone has reached out to you, there was a reason they made that decision. So if you're working an inbound lead, as in somebody sent you their information, it wasn't for nothing. So what can you do to make sure you're combining a good mixture of educating the client on the thing that they were seeking out information for, and entertaining them enough to keep them interested in what you have to say? Because if I just tell you facts all day long, Lily, I could sit here and spit facts, but it might be boring. It might not be very fun to listen to. If I mix in a couple of good stories and we have a laugh and there's some emotion involved, it's a more memorable conversation. And so what I think for the follow-up process is to give a good mixture. Give them some things that help teach them something, and then give them something that's funny. Give them some things that they can think about for themselves. The big mistake is sales professionals want to tell you how great they are and why you should want to work with them, but most buyers don't care who they're working with specifically. They have a problem that they want to solve, and that's the thing that they're worried about first. So if you want to create good follow-up content, focus on helping that individual solve the problem or understand why you are the expert who has the information to help them solve their problem, without it being about you specifically. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes. Thank you. How do you go from, let's say you have a call with a high ticket client and you're having all the fun, you're making a great connection, you feel like, oh my God, this is the right client for me. I love this client. And this client feels like, oh my God, Lily's amazing. And then you hit them with a, very big bill, a lot bigger than they were expecting. And then they feel insulted. And then they ghost you completely because now you're like, oh my God, Lily is, is a lot more expensive than I thought. And then there's this feeling of like, oh my God, where do you go from here?
So I would say, yeah, that's a great question. I would say the mistake was made early on in the conversation by not pre-qualifying the individual to make sure they were a good fit for your offer. Because the only reason they would get sticker shock like that is if they had no expectation of what was going to come when they got to that point, which means that you left out a very important part of the process. So for me, when I teach the sales process, I use the acronym CALLS. CALLS. C is confirm the reason we're having a conversation to begin with. Again, I don't do outbound cold calling, so anyone who I'm speaking with, they've given me their information to reach out to. So, hey, what made you decide to download my book? Hey, what made you decide to place an order on the store? There's a very intentional reason for the call, and I want to confirm that very early. That way, if they say that's not true, then I can just move them out and say, hey, so sorry for the misinformation or the confusion. If you do know anybody that needs XYZ, please let them know and I'd be happy to help. In the meantime, I'll take you off my list because we're just disqualifying people that we can't help. And then the next part, A, ask very specific and relevant questions. And this is another part where a lot of professionals mess up is they just want to spit out the script and tell you all these facts and datas and things of why you should want the thing. But they don't ever ask you why you want to do it or what made you decide to take this path and to go down this route. A lot of times, if you ask the right questions, whoever you're talking to, they'll tell you everything that you need to know, which is where the L in the process comes into play, which is just listen. You got to listen to what they're saying or you're never going to be able to help them solve their problem because it's never a surface level thing. It's never the first thing they tell you that they're dealing with. It's something much deeper that if you could help them solve that one problem in their life, everything else really wouldn't seem like a problem. Those other things are only problems because of the main thing. And so when you get the main thing figured out by listening to what they have to say and asking questions that will help you get to that specific thing, then all we have to do is the second L in the process, which is lay out the plan for success. And when you're laying out that plan, you can basically say, awesome. So for us to solve the problem, which we know is costing you XYZ per year, we need to implement this, this, and this, which is how, this is why we do this. This is what we're doing, how we're going to do it. And here's what happens if. Does that sound like what you want to do? And they're going to go, well, yeah, of course I want to solve the biggest problem that I have. Why wouldn't I? So you say, fantastic. It's going to cost X amount of dollars, which we know if we can solve this problem is going to save you or get you X, Y, and Z, which is the extreme valuable multiple of the small investment they have to make right now. Because we know the bigger the problem you can solve for somebody, the more they're going to be willing to pay for it. There are people out there in this world right now that are sick that can't find a cure, but they would give every last penny and dollar that they had to feel better again. So that's the same process we have to go through with sales, is we have to confirm why we're speaking. We have to ask the questions. We got to listen. We got to lay out a plan. And then that little S on the end, that's where you get them to sign on a line. You secure the bag. You get paid. Because you can go through this whole big process and do all of these things, but if you don't actually get paid for it, you're not going to be able to do it for very long. Because money is a tool, is a resource that we all collectively have decided that we're going to use to get more of the other things in life that we want. Does that make sense?
Yes. However, that still leads me to the question of how do you, once you've done that, the process, okay, and they are shocked about how much you're charging. Yes, it will solve their problem. Yes, they want it. Yes, they have the money, but they are just shocked at the amount that you're charging. So how do you go to the follow-up where they are thinking, okay, I'll think about it, which actually means I'm not going to think about it. I've already decided it's too expensive, and I'm not going to do it. Therefore, goodbye, and I'll never see you again. So how do you go from that to a follow-up that will bring them up in some way, bring them back in?
No, okay, so this is great. So now we're getting to objection handling. which is kind of before the follow-up, but we'll include that too. So as we get to the end of the conversation, we've made our pitch. Hey, this is the price to work together. That individual is going to say, I don't know, I got to think about it. And I'm going to say, hey, I totally understand. I also like to think before I make big decisions in my life because I want to make the right decision. So for me to do the best part in helping you, what I'd love to know, which part specifically do you still have to think about and figure out? Because I need to make sure you have all of the data or information needed to make the right decision for you. So what else do I need to provide or offer to you right now so that you can go make the best decision for you? And they're going to probably say, well, it's it's a little bit more than I wanted to spend, or, it's an investment. And I'm going to say, you're absolutely right. It is an investment. But money aside, is this the answer to your problem? Are you 100% certain that if we were to do this, it will fix the thing or get you the result that you're looking for? Yes, 100%. Awesome. Let's go ahead and get this problem solved for you. Well, it's still a little more than I was willing to invest. It's like, what did you expect to spend to solve this problem? So now we have to kind of start digging into the money issue because they knew there was going to be a cost. Is it legitimate that they just don't have that much money to pay you right now? That's okay. Money's easy to get. We can go get loans. We can, go through this process. If they're just genuinely offended at how much I charge, there's really not a lot that I can do in that situation other than continue to impress upon them. Feel free to look around, shop other quotes. You're going to find that even with the industry, prices may range from maybe slightly less than what I charge to maybe significantly more than what I charge. The reason I charge what I charge is because I'm an expert and I know I can get you the result at that investment. If I'm not the right person for you, that's totally okay. I don't take offense to that. Here's a few other people that might be the right person for you. But if you decide that I'm the right person for you, this is what it's going to cost. These are the expectations that you can plan on getting. And this is the timeline in which we're going to deliver those things. If you'd like to move forward, I'll be here to help. If not, you'll probably hear from me periodically just so that you know when you're ready to make the decision, I'm still going to be the person that will give you everything you need to make the decision that's right for you, whether or not we end up working together. Does that sound fair?
Yes. Okay. So how do you make sure that you have less sticker shock moments with clients and you have more clients that actually will appreciate that you're charging 10 times more than the competition?
So part of that is understanding first what they value. Is it the money that they value or is it the time that they value? Because people have different perspective and value of things. So for some people, they don't see money as an issue. They're like, yeah, money, I got plenty of that. That's not a big deal. For other people, money is like the only thing they think about in their life because they have a scarcity mindset or it's their like a lack of resource there. So we have to understand what's important and valuable to the individual we're speaking to. Because if it's, hey, I need time to go be with my family, I'm burnout, my business is driving me crazy, my employees are nuts, like, hey, listen, if I can get you back an hour a day to be with your family and you get to truly know that everything else in your business is fine and working the way it's supposed to, maybe even better than when you were there, what would that be worth to you? Because at the end of the day, we all know how to make more money, but time, energy, and effort are the true finite resources that we have that we cannot get more of, we can't buy, we can't win in a poker tournament, like we don't get a box of it on Christmas morning. So if I can give you those resources back, would it be worth investing $10,000 a year to know that you've got an additional 365 hours to spend with your family? You tell me. I don't know. What do you think? Would it be worth it?
Interesting. So what about entrepreneurs that are afraid of calling the damn leads? What do you recommend for them?
I think they have to get out of their own way. A lot of times, if you're afraid to call the damn leads, it's because you're not confident in the product or service that you're offering, which is a mindset thing. And honestly, you just have to believe in what you're selling. Because if you truly believe in what you do and how you're helping people, you will be inspired to call the leads. Will there be days where you're like, yep, got to go call these leads. 100%. I've been in sales my whole life, and there are still days where I'm like, yep, I got 25 leads I need to go call, but I could also go wash these dishes, or I could be outside fishing, or I could go do that. There are always distractions, but at the end of the day, I know and believe that my mission is important. And if I go make those 25 calls and I just get them out of the way, then I've got a whole lot of other opportunity and freedom to live the life that I want to live. The problem is people they want instant gratification. So it's easier to just go and fish or go be distracted and watch a TV show than it is to sit and spend an hour making 25 phone calls. But I can tell you what, if I make 25 phone calls right now, there's a chance I could have a whole week to go on vacation without having to work, because of those 25 people, maybe 5 of them decide to hire me, and now I've got enough profit margin that I can take a week's vacation if I so choose. But the problem is people aren't willing to do the work now for the delayed gratification, which is why they don't want to call the leads, which is why they make excuses, which is why they procrastinate. But the truth is, if that's what you're doing, it's because you don't care enough about the life that you want to go do the work to get it.
Thank you. How do you follow up after high ticket clients have said no? Because let's say the program is too expensive, or there's no suitability between what they want and what you are giving.
Well, I think that's a two-part question. Because if someone absolutely says this is not for me and this is not a product or service that I want, then why would I continue to follow up with them? Why would I try to sell something to someone who doesn't want it? That's silly. It's manipulative, and honestly, it's not the kind of business I do. However, if it's a situation where the objection is, I don't know if it's the right time, financially, it's not a good idea, I've got to speak to a decision maker, right? These are typically the top 3. It's like, hey, I gotta speak to someone and make a decision because I'm not confident in making it myself. I've got to logistically come up with the money, or timing wise, I can't sell my house right now. I got to wait for my kids to finish school. And once they're done, then we can put the house on the market. Like, I'm sorry, that is not an objection where I'm going to push somebody to like, you need to sell your house right now and throw your kids into the chaos. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's not who I am. However, if it is one of those things where it's a timing, no problem. I understand now is not the right time to take action. It's never going to be the right time. However, logistically, based on what you've said, I understand and empathize with where you are in your journey. So what I would like to do, if you'd be open to it, is keep you in my list, continue to send some information about the process as we move along, so that when you are ready to make that decision, you know I'm here to help. And if anything happens to go on between then and now that could put you in a position to be way, way better off, it's my duty to let you know that there's opportunity. So if you're open to it and I see something, I'd love to be able to send you a message or give you a call and just say, hey, I saw this shift. This may be something to consider. You okay with that?
Yes. Okay. What are some good ways to follow up with entrepreneurs after the call? After, let's say, they haven't purchased, but let's say the program is too expensive and they've just simply decided, okay, maybe, Lily's a Rolls Royce. I'm just going to go for a Volkswagen right now because that seems like the right choice. Not because I don't have the money, but just because I just don't want to spend that, okay, on a program. So let's say you are in this situation. What would you recommend in terms of follow-up sequences? What would you do? Would you still email like newsletters with information about, this is the kind of thing you should do to get this result, or whatever, something that's related to what you normally talk about in your program?
Honestly, this is where my troll side of life and why I call myself the meme lord comes into play, because if someone kind of comes back and they're wishy-washy about it, I have one meme in particular where there's a guy who looks basically homeless, and then a guy who's like well put together in a nice suit and very clean cut and proper, and it says lesser cost, higher quality. And I'll just hit them with a meme, because sometimes you can try to like talk to somebody and explain this, like, yeah, cheap isn't always good. Like, that's not always going to get you what you want. But sometimes that can be a little aggressive, or people might be offended by that. I like to use a meme because I think a meme allows you to kind of push certain buttons on emotions that you probably wouldn't do or say like face to face. And so I think a meme can elicit a lot of emotions and kind of dig deep. And also it helps people understand that sometimes we're just making decisions irrationally, because there's a fear of spending that money, or there's, a unsureness about what's going to happen on the other side. And sometimes as a sales professional, there's not a whole lot that it has to do with me, is I'm just here to help the other person make a decision. That's one of the hardest things to get people to do in the world. You ever ask your spouse, hey, what do you want to eat tonight? I don't care. Hey, where do you want to go? I don't know. Just make a decision. That's all you got to do. But sometimes it's so hard to get people to make a decision. So to me, the follow-up sequence is get them to make a decision. Either it's a yes right now or a no right now. And if it's a no right now, let's look at where are we going to follow up. So in this situation, I would still keep sending things that are in relation to value versus price. Hey man, sometimes you get what you pay for. Other times, sometimes we get more out of less. And I might encourage them to think about that option. Because again, to me, all I'm trying to do is just give them enough data points or references to make a decision. Either you're working with me or you're not. And if you're not, that's okay. I would like you to work with me, but truthfully, I can't work with everyone. And if you decide it's not us, there's probably a reason. Now, if I want to look at a big picture of like, hey, statistically, less people want to work with me than do, then maybe I need to make some changes in my process. But ultimately, you're going to find that balance between people that are just not ever going to work with you. And then you're going to find people where if you just stay in contact with them long enough, they're going to decide, you know what? You didn't give up. And the person who was less money, they only called me once and then they never followed up. But you kept following up with me and you kept sending me information and you kept helping. So your value has increased. Therefore, I'm now more comfortable investing that amount to work with you.
That's interesting. Tell me more about you being the meme lord. Has that had any sort of impact in terms of making sales? Or is that just like a gimmicky thing that you call yourself?
Well, it is gimmicky. Yes, it's a marketing thing. 100%. I will admit that. And also, I have used memes to sell more than $13 million worth of high ticket products over the last 5 years. And we have an average ticket size of $5,000. So if you want to do the math, what's 13 million divided by 5,000? That's roughly the number of people I've helped over the last 5 years going through these processes. So I really look at, to me, I wanted to differentiate myself. I didn't want to just send copy paste text follow-up messages. I've always loved memes personally. Like I have probably 6 or 7 different threads of people in my phone where we only send memes and only communicate via meme. So it's a relationship thing. It's a communication style. And what I learned is that in our line of business, entrepreneurs, business owners, a lot of us got out of the corporate world because we didn't fit into the box. And so me thinking outside the box was, well, I'm going to just send some memes and be silly and be myself. And people liked it and they started responding to me. And the best part that ever happened was when I was going through a sales slump, where you go a couple days, you're not closing any deals and you're just like, I don't know what is wrong with me. And I got a little feisty and fired up and I went and pulled a list of like 25 people who I had sent invoices to, and kind of like what you said, we're like, wow, it's a little expensive. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to think about it. And I went, 25 people I haven't heard from, I'm going to send them this silly meme that basically just said, hey, are you there? Question mark. And I got it. Within 10 minutes, people were responding. People were paying their invoice. People were going, ha, 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 that's so funny. I'm, decided I'm going to go a different route. But it was getting responses. And that was what mattered, because all of my other types of messaging, calls, whatever, just went unreceived. But as soon as I sent that meme, they got it. They chuckled. They sent me a message back. Some of them even signed up to work through our program. So what I've learned is that it's a great way to build relationship and be authentic without feeling like a stuffy salesperson.
That's so strange. Can I ask you what kind of image did you have in the meme, and why do you feel that worked?
So I've done a lot of deep psychological training on this. The actual image, and I'll have to find it. I'll try to email it to you so you can share it in this episode when it goes live. But there's a guy poking his head out from behind what looks like a set of school lockers. and he's kind of just poking his head out, and it just says, "You good?" question mark across the bottom. And the guy kind of has just like a concerned look, so it's just kind of like, "You good?" And that was the picture I sent. And I came to learn over time that the image specifically just kind of leaned into almost like a personal touch, where if you had a friend that you hadn't talked to in a while, if they just popped up and were like, "Hey man, I ain't heard from you in a while, you good?" question mark. You'd be like, "Yeah, that was cool. I appreciate hearing from a friend." And in sales, that's what I kind of consider myself, as like, I'm a sales professional, but I also want to create friends, because if I can help a friend, I will help a friend. Sometimes that's a referral. Sometimes it's just handing out some information. So that was where I just decided, like, I'm going to send more stuff that makes me seem friendly and personable. And it kept working.
Thank you. So are you sending these memes just by WhatsApp through like a WhatsApp chatbot of some sort, or do you send?
Yeah, I send them via text message typically. Sometimes email, if email is like a preferred communication style. But for the most part, I just send them via text message, WhatsApp, whatever platform we're on.
Oh, that's interesting. So did you find that this worked only after, let's say, you had a sales call and they hadn't taken the action that you required them to have? And then you sent them like something funny. That's the thing that kind of got them out of the, decision mode, and they kind of took some sort of decision, whether it's yes, no, and then or registering.
That was where it started originally, as I kind of just used them in the sales and follow-up process. Since then, I've evolved it into how to use memes in your marketing process, how to use it, in your fulfillment process, how to use it internally when you're training your team. Sometimes when you're trying to create SOPs, you throw a good meme in there, and it's an emotional connection, and people see it and they laugh and they remember that as they're going through the training. And then when I go to quiz them later on and I'm like, "Hey, what did you take away from the training?" And they go, "Well, that silly meme that you put in there about the guy who didn't follow up with the people who went, starving, that made me think, hey, I got to call the damn leads." So it started with sales, but it's evolved into so much more since then. And I actually created a course where I teach people how to use the memes to create for marketing and for sales. And we've helped over 1,400 different business owners and entrepreneurs go through that program. And I won't take credit for the sales that they've made, but it's pretty significant if you added it all up.
Wow, that's so interesting. So give us an example of what kind of meme would you use, let's say, for a book publishing program that I have, let's say. What kind of meme would you use, and for what?
Okay, so I've actually created memes for a book publishing company before, interestingly enough. So there's one meme where it's a SpongeBob meme, and I think it's Patrick. He has like a list, and it's kind of like one thing at the top is already scratched off, and then there's two more things underneath it. And so the top thing that I would put would just be like, "Live awesome life." And then I would just have that scratched out, because we're doing that. And then I would put underneath that, "Write my book." And then underneath that, I would be probably like, "Go on world tour" or something. And then underneath it, I would put your little logo and say, "Hey, step 1, you've got under control. Step 2, we can help you with. Step 3, you got to prepare for. Let us know if you're ready to write your book, and then we'll tell you how to take it on a world tour."
That's so interesting. And you would send that through WhatsApp for potential leads, yeah? Or for people you work.
Yeah, why not?
To
If they've expressed interest and said, "Hey, I want to write a book," or "I want to know about it," why wouldn't I send them something that's just going to get them thinking about it? Because a lot of people might think like, "Oh, it'd be cool to write a book someday," but like 0.1% of the world will ever write a book. And it's so sad, because so many people live such interesting lives and have such amazing stories to tell, that writing a book is a great way to get it out there. Whether it's a personal book or a professional book, it lives forever. So take all those amazing stories, all those things that you've lived through, that you've overcome, put it down on paper and share it with the world, because somewhere somebody can read it and have an amazing life afterwards. So yeah, I think I would send it to as many people as possible, because I love people that write books. I think it's amazing.
Thank you. And how would you continue the conversation from there? Because you can't just have one meme.
You're right. And I don't encourage anyone to just spam memes to people, because that's not going to look good either. So it's a delicate balance. A little bit of entertainment, a little bit of education, maybe an offer now and then. And it's kind of like TV. You know, when you watch TV, these days, most of us stream and they've gotten rid of the ads because we pay a whole bunch of money so that we don't see them. And now they're even still working them back in, even on the platforms we pay for. You ever notice how weird that is? Like, I pay for no ads. Why am I getting ads? This is weird. But the truth is we're conditioned as humans that we're okay being advertised to, so long as the platform on which we are engaging and being entertained is continuing to entertain and educate us. Like, we'll keep going back and watching certain television shows or certain channels because we like what's there. And we're willing to every once in a while, like every 20 minutes or so, sit through a 2 to 3 minute advertising segment, knowing that we're going to go back to the thing that we want. So it's the same process with follow-up. Educate, entertain, make an occasional offer. Don't be spammy about it. Don't be obnoxious, but just continue to remind them, hey, if this is something you decide you're going to do, why wouldn't you want to work with me? You've already been engaging with my content and see that I'm the expert. So logically, the next step is just for you to say, let's do this.
Thank you. So how would you continue the conversation, for example, in my case? Would you have the same character with a different messaging? And give me an example of another messaging to use for this, just for entrepreneurs to realize how they can use it.
So it's important to know that you can't just create one blanket meme for your entire audience, because your entire audience isn't the same. And so it's important to understand that as you segment down into more specific parts of your audience or your list, these entrepreneurs are a little more business and a little more professional. So I may choose to use a more businessy or professional related image or context because I want them to be like, hey, this guy gets it, versus, hey, this kid's a joke. He ain't professional, which I've run into. And also I've, had those people that are a little more lighthearted and fun that went, yeah, we're in a professional industry and it's real stuck up and stuffy. So that was awesome. I'm in. Tell me more about what you have going on. I think it's just important to know your audience, and then specifically know that, hey, if my audience is women between the age of 30 and 45 who grew up watching sitcoms in the 90s, then shows like Friends or Seinfeld or Wives of Atlanta or whatever, those are probably going to be shows or movies or things that my audience is interested in or relates to. So if I create an image with those specific backgrounds as a starting point, it's more likely to get the attention of the people whose attention I'm trying to get. And so if you can focus in on that, then when you're creating your follow-up sequences, you can say, all right, well, if these individuals fit this specific avatar, I know they need more educational content than entertaining content. They're still going to want a little bit of entertainment, but they're going to be more heavy on education versus, hey, these people are goofy, silly, they're fun, they just like to, all right, well, I'm going to create stuff that's more about how to create the book themselves without having to hire me. And this is going to sound counterproductive, because why would I give someone the secrets to doing the thing that I want them to pay me for? Because a lot of people are going to get 80% of the way through and realize, I don't want to do this myself. I should have paid an expert. Hey, let me go call Lily and get her and see what she would charge me to finish this thing. And then that's where you get Lily the chance to say, hey, I'm so grateful you reached out. What made you decide now was the time to take action on this? And then you get to sell them.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential, so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.